It's the Jack
and Kathy
Show.
Shit Show.
And there we go.
Yeah, how was
okay,
that?
that,
Did you like
I
that
think
one?
I think it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you this morning, my
Good
lover?
morning, my little love muffin.
We had a great morning, didn't we?
Yes. Can I start out this morning with an announcement? Just
It's
an
not
acknowledgement.
mine.
It's May, May 18th is my parents' anniversary. And I would like a shout out between you, me, and all four of our listeners.
We went down in
We did.
listenership?
We lost a couple.
Damn it.
We lost a couple.
No.
It
Bummer.
is
We're gonna lose some after
Mary-
this episode,
do you have
that's
to go
for
to the
sure.
bathroom? You're shaking.
No.
Should we pause it?
No.
Should we pause?
No, I don't have to
You
go
were
to
like
the
a
bathroom.
4-year-old boy. You wiggle
I just
your
get.
legs.
I know I get antsy too, though, when I'm
I know.
processing.
But
so.
it's my Mary and Dennis. Happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see us toast our matchas.
Congratulations.
In celebration of you. This is being recorded May 18th. It's not going to be out May 18th.
Until June
but-
7th.
Yeah, right, because we're a little slow.
Very
But yeah, I love you and I'm proud of you.
Congratulations.
And I'm so proud to call you my mom and dad.
It's awesome
And
stuff.
60 years. Damn.
Damn.
That's impressive.
That's really impressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Congratulations.
Now what?
That's awesome.
Now what do you want to talk about?
Hey.
Hi.
Well, I've got a primary topic, but there's so many other things I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I know your friend Nancy. Could I just dive right into this?
Yeah.
And just get going?
Dive in.
I really love this podcast. And by the way, to anyone listening, we started advertising and we are up to $1.71.
I know.
You're fixing me.
you have an eyebrow that's out of whack. So I was just getting it for you.
It's so nice of you to groom me. I
least
feel
I
like a rhesus monkey right now.
At least I didn't lick my finger.
You're
and
going to.
do it.
I know you
thought
want
about
to.
it, but I thought that might be a little too much.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning, lover.
morning, baby.
It's my
We're
favorite.
sitting here. We honestly just woke up a little while ago.
That light is
and,
too bright behind us, I think.
Oh, who cares? No one's watching. That's what it's good for. That's not a shadow.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got up not that long ago. I made our matchas with oat milk,
Delish.
and
You're the
which
best.
is what we drink in the morning.
We do.
And I'm still in my bathrobe and
Hold on a second. I
jammies,
want to
and
check one thing. Keep talking.
you look normal because you're just in a t-shirt.
Well,
but-
thank you.
Normal being relative. What are you checking?
I'm just making sure the audio is working, and it seems
It looks like it's working.
it is. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
All right, that's all right. No problem.
Keep going.
All right,
Yep.
so you had stuff in mind that you wanted to talk about.
Well, I do, and this could be the episode where we go from
I'm
4 to
hiccuping over
0
here.
listeners, or it explodes, but we'll see.
Mm.
But I want to talk about a few things first. So, awesome week with Al and Sam.
Yes,
That
it
was
was
amazing.
awesome.
So they stayed with us since Sunday
Yes,
because
for
they had
those
wedding
that-
stuff. Go ahead, sorry.
For those that don't know, Alexandra and her fiance Sam. Alex is Jack's eldest, beautiful daughter. And they are getting married up here in Wisconsin on June 24th. And so they were up here, they had a bunch of appointments getting their final details ready for the wedding. And so we were very lucky to have them stay with us. I love it. You know me. I love it anytime the kids are
I know.
around.
So
Even if they just pass through the room, I'm like, oh, there they were.
yeah, I know.
Oh, I like it.
It's adorable.
And they had Ellie, their dog, with them, and it was just really nice to have kids in the house.
It was really cool. So it was great to have them here. You keep talking because I'm trying to make sure all the system stuff is
I
working.
know,
well.
I'm mesmerized by what you're doing right now
I'm
with
just
these.
making sure. Okay, we're cool. All the settings are good.
So, in case anyone was wondering, can you get the picture back? Because I like staring at myself.
Sure.
I really just, with this podcast,
You're the
just
talent.
show up and sit in a chair.
You're the
That's
talent.
the extent of what I bring to the table.
Well, first of all, you're the talent. You're the handsomer of the two.
Well,
Far more handsome than me. That's okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
You're the talent. So we get it. Mm-hmm. The rest of us engineers who work our ass off to make everything happen, you just fucking
You
show
just make
up.
us look good. That's right. That's right.
Baby,
I know
you
my
already
role.
look good.
I know my role. I do what I do best. That's just show up.
So I want to talk about a few things. Your friend Nancy, who is 17 episodes behind, which is funny because when she listens to this,
actually catching up real
I'm giving her
nice.
credit. She's cranking it. She loves it.
So, Nancy, love you. Thank you
Yeah.
for listening.
Yeah.
Nancy is in New Zealand, and she is my friend from another lifetime. She's a New York native, married a Kiwi, and had
Not
two
the fruit,
boys.
an actual man.
Yes, an actual man, a Kiwi man, a New Zealand man, a wonderful man, and had two boys, and they moved back to New Zealand to raise the boys. And so she listens regularly, and she was a little behind, so she's catching up. And
Yes.
she's so cute. She just will call and leave messages like, I had a thought and I wanted to share, and this made me think of this. And so she's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had 2 messages in the last 24 hours because she's watching episodes. And then in contrast that with Erin from Wisconsin, Erin, who we just posted the what's her name? Susan podcast.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I get a notification because she watches it on YouTube.
Yes.
The next thing you know, I get a notification that she's made a comment already.
She's
And
so
the thing
good.
was, just posted.
Yeah.
So she clearly cranked through 30 minutes. And then
What
wrote
are we going to
something,
do when we have more than 2 people who comment on stuff? Well, Carol does too. Carol will respond by Instagram.
Thank you, Carol. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Well, the engineering staff will figure it out while the talent
I love that
sits
answer.
back and watches.
I love that answer.
We are up to $1.71 in ad revenue right now.
Is it $1.71?
$1.71. So keep it coming, people. Please spread this show around. We are almost at our goal project. I feel like an NPR episode right now.
I know. Can we retire yet?
Right. We are almost at our goal of $2. So if you guys can continue to listen to this show, we were trying to get less than a penny a day. That was our goal. We're fucking crushing it. It's the coolest thing because we get this notification saying, hey, you've got so many listeners now and so many episodes and you qualify for advertising. So Kath and I are going, oh, shit.
We're big time.
$1.71.
I love it.
Good stuff.
It's so fun.
So anyway, I wanted to say thanks to Nancy because she listens.
Yes.
And then
Aaron.
And, well, of course, Aaron.
Well, everybody that
yeah.
responds.
And so it's funny
Carol.
because Nancy's just been catching up. So by the time she listens to this episode, it'll be funny for her to hear that this was the episode that you called and talked about because she had just finished listening to our pet peeves. And she gave me a suggestion on how to overcome one of the pet peeves I have of you. Remember the glasses being upside down?
Wait, yeah. What is that again? Oh, right.
Right,
Yes,
remember that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The way we dry glasses differently.
Yes.
I dry them upside down.
Right. I just feel they trap the
You
odor.
do it the wrong way and dry them right side up so that all the water sits in them.
What a
It's just
day this is going to be.
It's like a tablespoon of water just sits in the glass, and
What
then
a
you got to
day.
wait for that to dry out.
Yeah,
and then,
because when it rains,
then you have water
nothing
spots.
evaporates ever.
Yeah.
We're going to have a science discussion now. So anyway, Nancy, thanks for starting another fight. So, and then I just think it's funny that we were talking about her now, and I just love the fact that she was responding and giving comments, and she left you a 17-minute voicemail
Yeah, she's awesome.
in 3 parts, which was kind of cool.
So you want to talk about that?
Oh, we can. This is our podcast. We do whatever the fuck we want to do. I just said the F word.
Fuck.
Oh, let's do it together. Ready? No, you do. Like,
Oh. Fuck.
nice. We just had
Together we're one swear word. All right.
bull.
Shit.
You said the whole word there. See? What are you looking up? You're not going to play her response, are you?
No, I was going to see if it was in.
You saved it, didn't you?
Yeah, if it was
Are you going to play the whole
transcribed.
thing? Oh God. So one of the things that I'd love to listen back to the podcast because I think we say things, fucking forget about it, right? And then like, did we say that?
Nancy, so we did.
We're so preoccupied with just getting it set up and that everything works.
Yeah.
Right.
So we definitely, I think the podcast she listened to was when we talked about if we could go back and do things over, what would we do differently? And I think it was that in relationships, what would we do differently?
It seemed like we said that we would go back or something like that. And I don't remember saying that, which means I should go back and listen to what I said.
Well, I would do things differently. Nancy's point was
we were different people.
Nancy's point was that, when you go back, every relationship, the good ones, the bad ones, the hard ones, the challenging ones, the tumultuous ones, there's always a takeaway. There is wisdom gained, hopefully. There is growth. There is self-awareness. There is, and, but that's not to say that I wouldn't go back and make some different choices for myself in how I handled things. I would still choose the same people because I definitely see Nancy's point. But I think I would sometimes I think I was so disappointed that I didn't have more of a backbone in some of those relationships.
My issue was, maybe backbone's a good way to say it. God, we should really listen to our podcast because so everybody knows this. We talk and we never listen to it again. We send it on to Key, who's going to be our topic today. We send it on to Key and then we never listen to it again, right? Or I listen to it, but I just listen for errors or shit like that.
I listened to some of them.
But we have listened to a few in the car. But I'm always
afraid I won't like my what I sound like.
You're always afraid that you're going to see what I look like on camera and then go, oh.
Oh, I never watch it. Oh. Are you kidding me? Look at me. I just rolled out of bed.
Oh, you're looking stunning. So I think
I'm in my bathrobe.
So get to what you said is that you wish you had more of a backbone. Is it the same thing as saying you wish you were, when you say backbone, do you mean like boundaries for yourself and stuck up for yourself more and was more true to yourself?
Definitely. I think I adapted myself to the other person, molded myself to the other person.
Because we talk about this a lot.
Lost some of myself. Yeah. Because I am attracted to strong people. You are a strong personality.
I'm so strong.
You are.
No,
you
I'm so strong.
You're so strong.
I think what I did was I talk about this all the time, and I think it's the challenge that I had most was acquiescing to the process and not to me. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm gonna let this thing, marriage, whatever it is, be bigger. So and the reason I wanted to tie this together to Al and Sam staying here for the week because they're adorable. They really are. Nancy asked a question. So this is all kind of interrelated.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be all over the place, so you have to settle me in.
I don't know if I can do that, but I'll try.
Okay. So Nancy talked about, that everything serves a purpose, right? And that all of our other relationships lead us to the next thing and everything else.
Yeah. And she pointed out, she's known me so long that she pointed out that I'm not the same person I was back when she met me.
Right. And then you've morphed and changed. Yeah. And that's what I
like to think of it as growth.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
She said those words. You've grown, right? And sometimes people grow apart, right? Which is the topic of a conversation last week with Susan. How do you resolve that amicably,
right?
Peacefully. So Nancy asked the question too, how do our kids feel seeing our level of intimacy, right? And this is what clicked in my head, and you'll remember all this. So to the listeners who have no fucking clue what I'm talking about, I hope it comes together. So Al and Sam, and again, to be sure, we don't know where any of this is going to go. And I've told you that this is
what?
I think this is going to go forever, especially on $1.71. Why would I give that up?
That's right.
That the adage of really staying in the moment and being true to yourself, we talk about all the time, right? That we are more ourselves than we were in any other relationship. And if that means forever or shorter than that, then we accept it, right? It's not what we think or hope for, however we know it's possible.
Correct.
So Nancy was talking about how you change and evolve and you weren't the same person. It's all that kind of stuff. And then overlay that with Al and Sam staying here and us getting a chance to watch them. Combine it now with what Nancy said of how do your kids feel? Do they listen to the podcast? And Al is the only one. Sam listened to it once because he was on it. Your kids don't listen to it, right?
No.
And so I would love for them to actually listen to this episode because Nancy's question was, how do they feel seeing us? And it ties back, I swear I'm going to tie all this together. It ties back to Al and Sam telling us, see this island behind us right here, if you're watching? Got this really long island. It's 7 feet long, but narrow by 23 inches wide. And so the kids cleaned off, kids, they're adults.
They'll always be kids to us.
Al and Sam cleared off the countertop, put almonds on it, and slid them across. And then the other person was at the end of the island trying to catch the almond in their mouth.
Yeah.
And you loved that.
Yeah.
And you said, don't stop doing that, because when you have kids someday, they're going to look at that and laugh. And then Sam and Al both said they're going to go, God, our parents are so stupid. They're so crazy. Look at what they're doing. And it reminds me of, now this is going to be a partially bringing up some old stuff, but I really didn't have that kind of thing in my marriage. Okay. There was, it felt for me more rules based. And so there were times when being silly like that would lead to arguments. And I'm reminded of, I promise I'm tying all this together.
It's all good. Take your time.
It reminds me of when my sister had a party and her kids were real little, and her husband, Bill, truly have this adage of we're first. They love their kids, clearly love their kids, right? And they also say we're first.
Yeah.
And the kids are second.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever choices make, it's between Laura and Bill first, which is beautiful. It doesn't always happen in families. And by the way, that doesn't mean they don't disagree on things and blah, 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 but they're the executives of the business.
Right.
So there was a party that Laura and Bill had. And Bill, the kids were little, so they're making spaghetti. And Bill grabs a noodle because his son, Ben, goes, Dad, is this ready? And Bill takes the noodle, looks at it, and whips it at Ben's face, and it sticks on Ben's face. And Bill goes, I think so. To which Ben took one and whips it at Will. And then the next thing you know, the house turns into, and I don't want to say like a food fight, but then Luke comes in and grabs a tissue paper and gets it wet and whips it at Lynn, and Lynn's probably 4. Lynn then starts whipping stuff, and Laura goes, stop. And I thought, uh-oh, she's going to get mad. And she goes, let me get my camera.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so my point is, what the kids are going to remember, full circle to all this stuff, and Nancy even asking the questions, do the kids see us in a certain way? I hope if they're listening to this podcast and when they see us, that they see how much we care about one another. And I feel bad that they didn't get to see that, at least in my relationship, enough.
Yeah.
That they didn't get to see that a lot. And so I look at what Laura and Bill's family looks like. And despite the fact that her now grown adult children probably think their parents are a pain in the butt, they'll never be able to look back and say, God, there was a lot of fighting going on, or that I didn't see love. And so that's why, to round this incredibly long conversation
you
up,
can imagine.
we're in
Sorry
20
to
minutes. I
interrupt you.
talked for 20 fucking minutes.
Who cares?
Okay.
It's our podcast. We can make it a 2-parter. Who cares?
Oh, I like that.
It's. I'm sorry, I totally interrupted your thought.
No, I'm done. I'm rambling.
Because, what kids witness, thank you, baby. What kids witness, they don't know anything else other than what they witness in their house, right? So it's not surprising that if they witness the structure of your relationship in the house, that they're going to pick up that that's how it's supposed to be.
That's the modeling of that.
Yeah.
Right?
And so I definitely always felt, not always, at the end of, it's kind of hard for me to talk about, actually.
Well, because we're trying to be
there
respectful.
was a huge chunk of years in the house that I know my kids didn't witness the best parts of a marriage, and it wasn't fighting. It was just probably just
yours
more
was
silence, and I feel like my kids learned how to be good people from us, but they didn't witness that healthy marriage and all that it could be. And so my hope is that what you and I are sharing now, not that you and I are perfect either, but we're both very different
Clearly,
in this
I'm not.
relationship.
You've established that already. So.
Exactly. You're catching on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm working so hard.
That you and I are different with each other than we ever have been in previous relationships. And we hope that there's a glimmer of something that our kids can soak up from that. Maybe not.
Well,
but
I think
I
it's
hope to
funny.
be a good example.
Since we've met, I know for a fact, and if Alex were to comment on this in Spotify, which you can, and if, by the way, you do listen via Spotify, we'll get us some extra money. So, because we get a better rate with Spotify. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't want to come off as a pitch or anything, but thank you for contributing to the Jack and Kathy
You
shit
could
show.
have one device playing it on YouTube.
I would just use.
And then you could just have your phone
But have
going,
Spotify
too.
open all day. If you played every episode, we might hit our goal.
Just turn the volume down, put our podcast on, and walk away. That's fine.
Since the kids met you in person when we went out to Oregon for the first time, we were dating only 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. At one point, do you remember Alex saying, "Okay, can you guys not?" Because we were talking in all of our accents, right?
Yeah, we were a little obnoxious.
Well, however, I think
we were just happy.
I think what they saw was how we're one another. And yesterday, we're on the way to a show that I was performing, of which I sucked. But that's a whole nother story.
Whatever.
Okay, so we're going to our show, and we're pointing out different landmarks as we're going to the parking spot. And all of a sudden I'm going, and that's, this restaurant, and that's a place where we do this, and I went, and that's a motorcycle. And you busted out laughing, and Al, I looked in the rearview mirror, was like, what the fuck? And then I say to you, oh my God, I found my person. And so I could tell the kids were agitated and yet not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they've found each other's person.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yes.
to wrap up this 25-minute dialogue, which really wasn't the intention, I just wanted to say thank you to Nancy for listening. Mm-hmm. I think the kids, Nancy's also question was, why couldn't mom and dad be this way?
Yeah.
I believe in my family, at least, the kids now see how different their mother and I are.
Right.
And so now starting to see us for ourselves.
Right.
So it's not ideal, and it's not something you and I ever wanted. Mm-hmm. Correct? Mm-hmm. It is, though, where we are. And I hope they see the two of us,
Yeah.
or at least each of our kids uniquely to their parents, see me more authentically.
Yeah.
Because I even said to you a couple of days ago, thanks for accepting the real me. Because I've never been more myself with somebody than I am with you. So, Nancy, you led us to this 25-minute diatribe.
It's all your fault.
I feel like just stopping here now because I don't want to do the other topic. And we could record another one. Or I could have Key do a cut, and then we have 2 podcasts that we can promote. Like, how do you want to do this?
Let's just keep talking. We'll see. It's all good.
It's a long one, though, because we lose listeners. Like I looked at our stats. After 3 minutes, we lose everybody. That's why we're only making $1.71. Yeah, they're missing. Yeah,
3 minutes. That's all right. This is really for us anyway.
Oh, I know, but when the dollar starts coming in, babe, it's hard not to be lured
big
to the
bucks.
Benjamins, right? Come on.
Become a slave to that $1.71.
We're almost at $2, babe. We're so close.
Oh my God.
So that was what I wanted to talk about there, because it wasn't the core of what I want to talk about today. So we're half an hour in. Mm-hmm. We could do a Gottman's thing real quick and then start podcast number 2. We can keep this rolling. I'll just have Key splice it. Would you rather do that? Like have part 1 or part 2?
Whatever
or do you
you
want to make
want.
it one long podcast?
Whatever you want.
I'd like to cut it. And then, because I really want the other podcast dedicated, and I don't want to lose what we have here. So I'm glad Nancy brought it up, because you and I were both clearly different people at that age. What I never was courageous. That's what comes to my mind. Courageous to say.
That's really interesting.
I wasn't courageous enough to say.
I was never courageous.
Because at some point, my body
Yeah.
and brain were going, you don't like this. What are you doing? And I had that belief that, well, you fight through this and you work through it. And it's funny, I not only did it in my marriage, but I did it in every relationship following until you, right? Where I can't walk away. I can't, what's it going to be like being by myself? And right? All those things. How do you feel about that? I'm talking a fuck ton right now.
That's okay.
How do you feel?
The use of the word courageous really stopped me. That is a really, really good word. I like to think of myself as a strong woman, but I definitely have lacked courage many times, and many times in relationships, for sure, lacked courage to speak up for myself, and to, when things weren't feeling right, to listen to that instinct, oh my gosh, and to own it and address it. And I think you and I do that more. I think I feel very, very lucky to be with you, because you are somebody that says, wait, what was that? And you'll put your finger right on it and just like wiggle it. I'm like, that was nothing. No. And you're like, oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, it is.
Oh, I'm putting salt in that one, baby.
and that's good for me. It really is, because I'm masterful at shoving it all in, and then getting a migraine, or my shoulders are so tight I can't even sleep at night, or losing sleep, or my stress will manifest itself in these other ways. And I think what really helps, not every time, of course, but what really helps is that I have a partner in you that is so willing to listen and to go to the deep end of the pool. And I'm so grateful for that. It's really new. And I think I just feel so lucky.
Well, you've even, well, thank you.
Just to clarify,
I know, I got that. I was hopeful that's where you were going. It would have been great if you used someone else's name. What do we do with that then?
We'll just talk about it.
Live on the air. I feel that you've said often that you finally have a voice. And I don't feel having a voice is being able to say something. I really think what people say when they say I have a voice is that they're actually being heard. That's always my take on it, right?
No, my voice is actually speaking. Hearing is...
Well, for you it is.
Yeah,
for me, it's knowing that I'm getting heard. That was my big thing.
Yeah,
right?
that's huge, because you could say all you want and not have somebody hear you, right? So you're right. For me, the hardest step was always just initiating that conversation, saying that uncomfortable thing, Well,
and one of my favorite, I really like a lot of our podcasts, and so I'm only remembering the recent ones. One of my favorites is when we talked a few weeks ago about the privacy between you and me. Excuse me, I just burped. You know what I mean? Where we solve things. We'd love to be able to go to other people and say, oh, I'm really twisted on this situation. We've agreed to keep that between us. Right? And you said even last night, as we were kind of waiting for Al and Sam to get home, waiting for that text, that, would you say something like, we're going to figure this out? Or I think we're always going to solve things together, or something like that?
Yeah, I think you and I are always going to work to come out on the other side of a situation. Like, we are determined, I feel like this, that you and I are both determined to make this work. And so we want to resolve our conflicts. We want to heal. We want to grow. We want to come out on the other side of it.
And so for the 4 listeners now, you said we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the 4 people listening, I don't feel that, so it doesn't sound like we're being hypocrites. Because earlier we talked about how in previous relationships we stuck things out because we're going to fight through it. What I was getting at with that is we fought against our own instincts. I don't have instincts. I'm going to rephrase that. Of course I upset you sometimes. I can be total Sagittarius, blunt, say some shit, and your eyes go, huh? Right? I don't think you hear that as a red flag. I think, to use my words, not yours, you go, asshole, right? Whatever word you use. Maybe use a stronger one. And equally to me, I know there's things you've done where I'm like, mother of pearl, right? I've never had a red flag moment though, right? Where my instinct goes, what's going on there?
Right.
Where you haven't shown up for me.
Right.
Right? The moment I say, hey, I need you to show up, you may not catch it right away or vice versa. I may not catch it, but we're insistent, show up. And then like that, we flip, right?
Yeah.
That to me is not, let's work through shit where my instinct says this doesn't feel right.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what we did wrong in the past. That was when we weren't courageous enough. But you and I, again, I think I found my person. That's a motorcycle. You could not stop laughing. And I need to be with someone who thinks I'm a goof.
You found your human laugh track.
Well, you said it last night to me, right? I found my person. So I just... there's a whole nother podcast that we're going to do 2 of today since we're sitting at the terminal here. And Nancy's conversation really made me think in concert with the kids being here and watching their interactions. And here's a great compliment to us. And I really want to compliment us, babe. They said they were here Sunday through Wednesday. And they said, God, it felt like being on a long weekend. Right? Yeah. Which to me meant they were relaxed.
Oh, I hope
they were
so.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? It felt easy. And maybe they can't express it or don't want to express it, or it's up to them to decide the emotion. The fact that they stated they felt relaxed and comfortable says a lot. Says we're creating that environment. Yeah. So I wanted to go down this path after Nancy's stuff. I've said Nancy's name 400 times. If she could spread the word in New Zealand, for fuck's sake, we might make $3.50. I don't think our rates are higher overseas. We probably pay a bigger tax.
Well, there's the exchange rate.
That's it.
Lose a little something.
So how about is there anything else you want to add? Because this is
I had a thought listening to you, and a little bit reflecting on Nancy's message. So do you think, Jack Honar, that
Jack Riley,
that your younger self was capable of making different decisions, relationship decisions than, like, I guess, what do I mean? I think about how I know myself better. If you knew yourself the way you do now and you could turn back the clock, do you think you would have chose
the routes I chose?
Yeah.
I think I like the question. You have to answer it too then.
Of course.
Okay. So do you want to answer your own question first?
No, you go.
I know that I was always an obedient older child. And this is not a daddy mommy thing. I know I was always an obedient older child. So I wasn't a rule follower. I was a respect follower. So mom and dad said something, you did what mom and dad said. Grandma and grandpa, you did. My sister, in contrast, was a little less like that. She wasn't disrespectful. However, like, for example, when I was little, when I was 12 years old, I got my first lawn mowing job, which led to a ton of money at the time. So I was getting $10 a lawn, and I cut 5 lawns. So that's $50 as a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
That's a shit ton of money,
Huge.
especially back in 1933.
You're going to rule the world at that rate.
What was it, 1927 then, when I was that age?
Give or take.
And I came home, and what was tradition for my parents is when the kids worked, they gave money to mom and dad.
Yes.
So I gave every single penny I had to my parents. So I made the $50. My mom and dad said they were putting it into an account. I don't know if they fucking went out that night for dinner or when, thank God, our kids working. But when my sister got a babysitting job, they asked for the money, and she goes, why? I babysat. So she was much more willing to buck up against authority.
Yeah.
Whereas I went, well, hey, man, they told us to do this. I probably would have been a great victim in the early days of Germany. I would have been like, follow in line. follow rules and get in line.
Yeah.
So that was me. Mm-hmm. And so.
But yet you were also sneaking out the bedroom window.
Well, still having fun.
Yeah.
The point, to answer your question, I always knew that something didn't feel right, and I don't want to put this on my parents because that's not what I'm saying.
Of course.
It was me going, all right, well, I guess I have to do this. Mm-hmm. And then I saw my sister do it, and I'd go, wait a minute, my parents didn't even fight it.
Yeah.
Right? So at first was mad at them going, where's all my money back?
Right.
Right, using that example.
Right.
And then I realized, wow, it's me. But that carried on. Mm-hmm. So I'd go to my job and people would say things and I'd kind of just sit there and acquiesce.
Yeah.
That's the courage. That's why I use the word courage.
Right.
Because I knew where I wasn't right. I was just afraid that if I did something, the consequence would be disastrous. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is it took me to be 55 years old prior to meeting you, or 54 when I went on that sojourn, when I realized, fuck it, everything works out.
Yeah.
I could have easily told my parents, I'm keeping the money. I could have been sneaky and said, oh, they only paid me half of what they were going to give it to me later. Blah, blah,
That
blah.
would have been so smart.
But I was a rule, I don't want to say rule follower. I was just very obedient to authority. So that's my answer.
Yeah.
So yes, I knew throughout my whole life, I knew when things weren't right.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the first time at age 50 something where I went, okay. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And maybe that was to Nancy's point, maybe that was the big life lesson. It took the relationship prior to you for me to go, what the fuck?
Yeah, well,
So, anyway,
and
you
I
answer.
remember even at one point saying to you, thank you to all those women that came before me. Thank you for messing it up because I found you, you know.
You chased me.
I did. I chased you.
And find me. You hunted. Answer your own question.
So, you know, when I reflect back on my younger self, all I can really see is I wonder if I would have even had the capability to make different decisions, because on a really, really, really deep personal level, in second grade, I told you I started sweating profusely. So my hands and my feet would drip sweat. And when I tell you that consumed my psyche,
Oh, I know.
I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
So it's hard to imagine separating that girl and how that shaped me from the woman that I am today, because obviously today I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Right? You're, you know, so I could have greater problems than that. I could, you know, whatever. So no pity party for me, but it really did shape me. So looking back on it, I wish I would have had the confidence to just raise my head up and see what was going on the world around me, because I was so focused in this insecurity that it became like almost this shell that I couldn't, you know, and I had friends, I played sports, but every moment was shaped by this, how do I want to, it was more than just an insecurity. It was like,
Was it a shame thing?
it felt like almost a disability, you know, where you're trying to hide your disability as you go. And
That's what I was asking. Was there a shame involved, or you thought something was wrong with you, or?
for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. And I don't know how to separate that. Like, I'd almost have to will that away from my younger self in order to imagine choosing different roads, you know? But fast forward to just the context of relationships, I think wisdom as you grow older can be such a welcomed thing, and to not give a shit anymore, you know, to get old enough to realize that it doesn't fucking matter, you know, that nobody spends as much time thinking about you as you do.
That's right. I do that.
Right? You do.
Yeah, I spend every day thinking about you.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You're right.
it's hard to imagine. I guess I just wish I would have. Oh, my dad's calling right now.
That's cute.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I think I've
Don't know how to answer your own question?
yeah. I don't know. I wish I had this profound.
These are conversations we have when we're not on the mic. You'll ask a deep and profound question. I go to the deep end of the pool and go, what about you? And you're like, I don't know. What the fuck is going on here?
Exactly.
It's great.
Hello, next.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think it's just hard for me to imagine having it any other way.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
but I'm different now, and
Yeah.
I welcome that. And we're different now, and we're different with each other. And
way different.
yeah.
Yeah, way
right.
different. All right, so let's do the Gottmans. We'll wrap this up. You
let's
and I
do
will
it.
stay on the air. We'll record number 2.
Okay.
So if anyone's watching this, you're going to see the same clothes
Okay.
unless we want to
I
change.
might have to call my dad.
For sure. We can
Okay.
press pause on everything, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to do some Gottman open-ended questions, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what I'd rather ask you? I'm going to ask you a question. So let's end here, relationship questions. And it's going to be a quick answer, I know it.
Okay.
We did not get the farm acreage thing that we wanted.
Did we talk about it on the podcast?
Not talked about,
okay.
Have we talked about possibly getting it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've hinted at the fact that we were looking at additional property. So Kathy and I stumbled upon this town called Ripon, Wisconsin. And
Go check it out if you haven't already.
Really
And
cute town with some
everybody
great
knows
shops.
we
Well,
had-
Ripon Dan.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah, we
say
had
we
Rip
had
and Dan
Dan on the
podcast.
podcast,
Yeah.
and we spoke about Ripon.
Yeah.
So honestly, if
So
anybody in anywhere
Yeah.
wants a wonderful town to go visit, I
it's
swear
beautiful,
to you,
and the people there are great. And the story
Ripon
we're
is
about,
great.
yeah, and the story we're about to share isn't a story against the town by any stretch. So we were driving around Ripon, stumbled across a property that had this big house and 3 barns and all these fantasies of what you and I have always visualized for our lives, a workshop for me, et cetera, and so on. And it just so happened that Dan knew the owner. Mm-hmm. And so we were discussing with the owner possibilities of being able to purchase the property.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask the question of you now is we had these kind of dreams and visions of what life could look like. And it was going to be a long-term, almost borderline retirement type thing.
Yeah.
Though we're not retiring. I don't mean it that way.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And no fault, just sometimes transactions in real estate just
Yeah,
can't
absolutely.
make it work.
Great property, great
Yeah. So
seller,
how do
great
you,
woman.
How do you feel about it? Because we had all these visions.
I think I started to. Yeah, it's really interesting because when we found it, we created a whole storybook of what life would look like when we moved there, and I'm okay that the property didn't end up being the right choice for us for some reasons, but I feel okay.
Good.
I mean, I love it, but I also know that this is. You and I are going to do this life together, and I know that there's going to be endless adventures and things that pop up that we're going to try on for size and say, oh yeah, that was good for a minute. But we're going to move on. And I just look forward to signing up for whatever that is.
Yeah.
And my heart and mind and spirit are all open to what life may bring.
I think that's the coolest way that I feel too, is that it wasn't, damn, shit, suck. You're like all that.
Yeah, what are we going to do now?
Oh man, it was, all right, next thing.
Yeah.
And that was a cool feeling.
Yeah.
So I just was curious
and we still
to
have one
you
eye
share
open on Ripon.
Of course.
We still are like, well,
We're not
we
saying
do love that town.
That didn't work out. So at
Yeah.
least in its current form, who knows? We may get a call a year from now.
Yeah.
Right. And things have changed. So anyway, I just was curious that's the relationship question I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
So,
yes.
all right. Well,
it's
anyway.
very special and it grabbed hold of our heart.
So thank you to
So.
Nancy, Alex, Sam for bringing this up today, so to speak. Oh,
Yep.
you know how I want to end the show? You want to hear something funny?
What?
I really shit the bed on that last song. at that one song at the concert?
Yeah.
Would it be weird to pull out my guitar and play it right now?
Baby, this is your podcast.
No, I mean,
you do
can
whatever
you
the
keep
fuck
talking?
you want.
I'm serious because there's this part of me that wants to be like, this is how it was supposed to sound. But what I'm terrified of is that I'm going to play it, we're going to listen back to the podcast, it's going to be even worse. Right? Like,
Which
still didn't get it
Which
right.
song are you going to play?
Marissa.
Oh,
Really, it pissed
yes.
me off that I got Marissa wrong.
Okay.
So-
All right. Well, we're going to sign off with the Jack. So Jack is very talented artist.
I know a place where we can run to. That's it. Somewhere far away where no one knows our name. Pack your bags and travel light. We'll be on the road tonight. There's no need to run around no more. There's no need to run around no more. Oh, Marissa, we've been drowning for too long. Let's chase the moon and let life come undone. Throw all your troubles out the door. No worries anymore. Marissa, won't you fly with me? I'll build you a home with a garden, with 1,000 roses calling out your name. On the porch swing we can sing about the places we have seen. We'll spend all our evenings dancing in the rain. We'll spend all our evenings dancing in the rain. Oh, Marissa, we've been drowning for too long. Let's chase the moon and let life come undone. Throw all your troubles out the door. No worries anymore. Marissa, won't you fly with me? Take off your shoes, run your feet through the earth and let the wind wash through your hair. Take off your dress and let me do the rest, and baby, kiss me, yeah, kiss me. So throw your bags in the bag, close the door and buckle in. Let's roll the dice, see what we can find. Let's roll the dice, see what we can find. Oh, beautiful, with me. Oh, Marissa, we've been drowning for too long. Let's chase the moon and let life come undone. Throw all your troubles out the door. No worries anymore. Marissa, won't you fly with me? Throw all your troubles out the door. No worries anymore. Marissa, won't you fly? Won't you fly with me?
Woo. All right. There
Now
you
I
have
got it right.
There you go, baby.
Peace.
Peace.
Jack and Kathy Shit Show outro take
Start off
652.
laughing. You just listened to another episode of the Jack and Kathy Shit Show.
Our senior producers are me.
Hey, and me,
This episode was produced, engineered, and mixed by
the amazing Key Honar.
Email your questions, comments, or interesting relationship stories to jackandkathyshitshow@gmail.com. That is Kathy with a C.
Be sure to follow and like our marvelous shit show on Instagram and TikTok at Jack and Kathy Shit Show. Apparently, liking and following is a thing.
It is.
Yeah.
This episode was produced by Pint Productions 2022. Point!